My older cousin is the reason I ever picked up my first copy of the Oblivion Fallout 3 double pack at Walmart. Back then, he was the first person I knew that had an Xbox 360, and the game he was playing the most at the time was Oblivion. Since those days, he doesn't game all that much since, we're all adults now. He's been getting in any gaming through an old laptop and a copy of Fallout New Vegas that just keeps him going. And his younger brother will run back playthroughs of Skyrim on a Switch Lite and play the OG Oblivion on an aging Xbox One. But then, the rumors ran through our group texts about a possible Oblivion Remaster coming out within the year. Jokes fly, we don't really believe it. Then, by that Tuesday, the game just drops. Completely out of nowhere, and everything we had all been waiting for. Both my cousins rushed out and bought Xbox Series S consoles that weekend. For a 19-year-old game. Not for Starfield, not for anything new, but for a 19-year-old RPG with updated visuals. And they weren't the only people that were this excited. The Oblivion Remaster saw over 9 million players after being out for only a couple of months. Its sudden shadow drop release was honestly one of the most exciting gaming events of 2025 for me in a year otherwise dotted with bad news. While this specific event was unique in some ways to Oblivion as a title, I think it perfectly illustrates something troubling we can see across the industry. And it's that remasters and remakes of older games are straight up outperforming new entries in their franchises. My cousins ran out for Xbox consoles to play Oblivion, not Starfield. It's worrying when you think about it. I know the conversation around remakes and remasters often revolves around the concept that nostalgia is a powerful emotion, one that's often taken advantage of by companies desperately trying to sell something. But I don't think nostalgia is entirely what's selling these games, and it's certainly not what has them reviewing well to critics and fans alike. While nostalgia may fuel initial interest in a remake or remaster, it's not what fuels any large amount of hype once the game is out in the wild. Looking at some of the poorly received remakes can make this pretty clear. The GTA Trilogy Remaster, what was once hype, instantly turned into ridicule once players got their hands on the games. With the Oblivion Remaster shadow dropping, we see the clearest example of letting the game do the talking. Starfield had years of development, marketing, and time to build up hype. The Oblivion Remaster was rumored on a Friday and released by that Tuesday, and was able to shake the gaming world, pull better reviews, and maybe even sell more consoles. What does it say about the current state of gaming when the Assassin's Creed Black Flag Remaster is making bigger, more exciting headlines than Assassin's Creed Shadows did while it was in its marketing cycle? All Shadows had going for it initially was its setting, followed by the novelty of offering two protagonists to switch between. You can't help but feel like there could have been more opportunity to make that new entry feel more exciting. And then you have Bethesda, with all the work, all the time, and all the effort that goes into creating a brand new IP versus the effort that it takes to remaster an existing game. It's crazy that the Oblivion Remaster ended up creating more of a stir for gamers than Starfield did. In that environment, why would a studio that has a back catalog of beloved games not be releasing all the remasters they can? And to be honest, that's what it looks like they're doing. The only upcoming news for Halo at the moment is that Halo Combat Evolved is getting a new full remake. Absolutely no mention of a new game in sight for the time being. Hopefully that's just a sign that they don't want to jump the gun on marketing a new release that they're working on, and not a silent admission that there is currently no mainline entry in the works, because at the moment we don't know which of those is true. Another long dormant franchise, Silent Hill, worked on a deep remake with Silent Hill 2 rather than creating a new mainline entry. And this wasn't even a problem. Everyone loved that game. They took inspiration straight from Resident Evil in the way they've been making a killing thoughtfully remastering all of their most popular games. These choices show that new entries are seen as risks, where remakes have way better odds of becoming hits at a time a franchise may desperately need one. And don't get me wrong, I'm excited for these projects. I don't think older games getting preserved in this way or introduced to new audiences with re-releases is a bad thing by any means. I just find it to be an indictment of an apathetic AAA gaming space where players are more enthralled by games they've already played getting fresh paint than they are by new entries in those same franchises. But the gaming industry hasn't reached this point by accident. Something specific changed, and it happened right around the time the Xbox 360 era ended. So I do a lot of glazing of the 360 generation here on this channel, but I think it's for good reason. Just think of all the different games that came out and seemingly changed the world during that time. Existing game franchises had massive standout hits that people still talk endlessly about, with games like Halo 3 or Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. But the real sauce here comes from the new IPs that repeatedly kept coming out and taking the world by storm. You had Assassin's Creed, Gears of War, The Last of Us, Mass Effect, The Witcher, Minecraft. A ton of today's staple game franchises saw their creation within the Xbox 360 and PS3 generation of consoles. And those are most of the games we're seeing get remastered in this current generation. And their games we're still seeing find ways to outperform newer titles. And this is where we see what's changed. Because of the ridiculous amount of money to be made and lost in modern game development, it has become rare to see new franchises take these big swings like we saw back then. This makes for a generation that feels boring to players. It opens the door for remakes and remasters to generate what seems like unfair levels of hype. And when we do occasionally see a new franchise come and flip the script, like a new IP from the 360 days would, everyone loses their mind. Look at Expedition 33 and what that game was able to accomplish. I don't really think people realize how common that feeling used to be. I think the most damning evidence of all of this is that with both my Elder Scrolls loving cousins that sprinted out to get Xbox consoles at the release of Oblivion, neither has even bought Starfield. I couldn't even think of a better way to try and explain what it feels like to look out over this current gaming landscape. Remakes and remasters have a place and deserve all the hype they generate. I will personally be over the moon once Halo Campaign Evolved comes out later this year. But these games should just be a dessert on the menu, something extra for those who want just a little more. Or they should act as a foundation of game preservation. They shouldn't be doing all the heavy lifting for a franchise or for the industry at large. So far, this generation, that's how they've been treated. I can't help but feel like we're living off the creative capital of the past, desperately searching for those who are brave enough to risk that capital for the future. Thanks for watching.